Good morning. You're watching Much Ado About Something today, and I'm Donna. Well, we're out here in the backyard, and we're getting started on planting the garden. Yes, it's a late garden. This is actually June 1st when I'm doing this video, and it's pretty past due, considered kind of late. We have a long growing season in our area, so it's okay. We're still going to get plenty of fruit from what we plant, but I'm going to share some of the plants with you. These are our trays. Look how pretty these tomatoes are turning out. If you don't think you can grow tomatoes from seed, I'm telling you. So there's nothing here that's so overgrown that we can't plant it. We've got plenty to plant here. I'm actually going to put basil in my garden this year because basil's an annual and I love it so much. I'm going to try to grow more of it than I have in the past. But here are our beautiful, wonderful plants that were started from seed and we are going to put in the ground today. So we're so excited. We're actually getting the garden planted. Donald is out here. You know, it's a no-dig, no-till garden. But it's took us a little while to get out here, so we've got some weeds. We have got out here and pulled our weeds. But we haven't got them all, so we're out here having to get a few weeds. Here is the elderberry bush that Donald cut back to the ground. Look at the way it's already grown. Now we do have some weeds out here that we kind of have to just pull. And we've got a little place over here where we throw our weeds. And we're just gently trying to pull up what we've got here, so that we don't disturb the soil any more than we have to. This is our main little garden plot. If you remember, I've shown you before. This is a little plot where we plant our main garden. This is where we put our tomatoes, our cucumbers. Last year we had our cucumbers right here and they grew on this trellis. So we're out here this morning. I've already got plans. I already have plans where things are going to go. There used to be a tree here. Donald's found a major root. He's going to go ahead and pull that up. And of course right here right beside of our garden we've got our elderberry bushes. We've planted them back here in the backyard and we've got one in the front. Well, the elderberry bushes are in a time when they're losing their flowers, so if you shake it you'll get a shower of flowers coming off because they're losing their flowers and they're setting berries. They're what we call setting berries. And that means these elderberries will be growing. We should have a ton of them this year if the birds don't get them before we do. So we don't know. We never know how many we're going to get. It depends on how hungry the birds are. But the trees are covered back here. You can hear Roosty in the background. He's going to crow this morning. We've already fed him, but he's just happy we're out here. So he's going to crow a little bit. He's over there watching me. So you can hear him in the background. But Donald's just pulling up what we got here. He's pulling up some of the weeds. He's got his little tool there that helps him get them up. I don't use a tool. I try not to disturb the soil like that, but we've got a slightly different style of gardening.
All the rain, the soil's hardened on there, you know. That's with all the rain we've had in the past couple of months. I got to break it loose a little bit. I was just breaking it up a little bit from all the rain we had because the soil's so hard on top.
Yeah, we're trying not to disturb the microbes in our soil. We've done no dig, no till garden for 2 years, and it's been great. It really has. We've really enjoyed it. And we're still doing that. We added some compost that we had here from the house, but we hadn't added very much compost this year. We're going to see how it does. We might have to add some during the halfway through the season. Now here's our tomatoes. These are tomatoes I bought. You can see I've had them for a while. They've got what we call leggy. We've got some mortgage lifters. That's a staple in my garden. If you want a good tomato that produces a lot of tomatoes, mortgage lifter is a good one. Now I'm going to pinch off some of these real yellow looking leaves on this, and I'm just going to throw them over there in the pile that we've got beside of the garden. Me and Donald are we're thinking about moving our compost pile up here to the top of our lot instead of leaving it down at the bottom. The reason we put it down at the bottom of the lot is because our lot is kind of on a slope, and we were thinking that everything that ran down, all the nutrients and everything out of the soil, as it ran down, it would just stay there in the compost pile. But we may put one up here just out of convenience, because you know, if it's more convenient, you'll use it. Now here's a Cherokee Purple. I don't know if somebody took this out of here. There's only 3 plants in that. I hate that when I buy a container of plants and there's only 3 in it. I feel cheated. I like to get them when they've got a full 4 in them, if they have 4 little cells. Now this is the Rudigers. We always plant those. Donald's grandma planted those, and we always have them in our garden. Here's another Cherokee Purple, and here's a red cherry. This one goes up in that little garden up there, which Donald already has it dug. He's already dug that garden this morning.
Well, that's a different garden there.
Yeah, this is a different garden. We in the past have just dedicated this little garden to the kids. You can see he's already got it good and just broke up a little bit, got all the weeds out of it with his rake. And we had a volunteer cherry tomato from last year. Well, actually there's 2. We got one right here that came up, and then there's one right here. So of course we're going to leave them there, and we're just going to plant around them. We always encourage the volunteers. That means they've acclimated to the area good, and they'll continue to put out some good cherry tomatoes. They're little tiny tomatoes. So we are this morning just working on our little gardens and finally getting them planted. It's long overdue to plant. Yeah, the birds will eat them. He was noticing the birds have already eaten some on the elderberries, even while they're green. But we've got plenty this year. We've got more than we've ever had of the elderberry flowers. So we're excited. We'll get a good harvest. As you know, we're still drinking our elderberry syrup. We still take our elderberry syrup a couple of times a day. I've probably got one more quart, or maybe a little bit more downstairs. You know, I made several gallons. I made a gallon for us, and then I made a gallon to show you how to make it on a video. So how to make elderberry syrup, if you want to know how I make this, I have a video that has that. So me and Donald are still drinking our elderberry syrup. There's not much left in this bottle, as you can see. But we're still taking it every morning, and sometimes throughout the day if we think about it. So all those elderberries we got outside, they'll be going for our year's supply of elderberry syrup. We grow them, we harvest them while the birds are not eating, and we put them in a little cardboard box, a little low flat cardboard box, and we let them dry out thoroughly. And then we get them off of the stems, and we store those dried berries. That's what we do with them. I gotta put this back in the refrigerator and give Donald his shot of elderberry syrup. Here you go.
Oh, you did bang it, didn't you?
Yeah.
What?
It's the elderberry syrup. I don't have to tell you what it is. You drink it every day.
Good.
It's good for us. It's immune boosting qualities. That's how we use the most of our elderberries, is in making elderberry syrup for the year. We gave a lot to friends last year and let them try it. The last batch I made turned out the best that I've ever made. The elderberry syrup is really, really good. And we're looking forward to making some more this year and taking it to stimulate our immune system. Now, there's many things that can stimulate your immune system. There's many herbs that do that. Elderberry is just one that's common, easy to grow. It's one I'm familiar with from growing up with it, so of course that's the one I like to use. Plus the taste is delicious. If you get your recipe down right, the taste of elderberry syrup is delicious. But you only need a little bit, so we just take it by the little shot. I think that's an ounce. So we take an ounce 1 to 2 times a day. And I tell you, it really has helped us this winter. We've got very few bugs, very few colds, very few of anything. I think Donald had the touches of a sinus infection, but the thing that happened with that was it didn't last for very long. So even if you do get something, when you've taken elderberry syrup on a regular basis, then it doesn't seem to last as long as if you take it. If you don't take it. So that's why we take it. That's what we do with it. And we're excited to harvest these this year. We're excited to have a whole backyard full of them. Now, there's a lot of people that do things with the blooms. I've shared with you before, I don't do too much with the blooms because I like to have the berries. And if you harvest your blooms, that'll be less berries because, they won't make. I already fight with the birds for everything back here. Well, pretty much everything on our property we fight with the birds about because they want to eat it too. And of course we grow enough for the birds. We don't have as many birds as we used to. We took out our bird feeders. We no longer feed the birds because we have backyard chickens and it's a protective measure. But we still do have birds that come and nibble off of our natural berries and things that we've got planted. Well, Donald's out here. We're getting this ready. I've got to set all of the plants that I've got down here so we can go ahead and decide what we're going to put where. But I was sharing this with these tomato plants. It's no worries that these are leggy because we'll plant these all the way up to the neck. So it's nothing lost here with them being this leggy. But it was like I was telling Donald, it's almost like we had a hydroponic garden here for a while because they've been growing and I've kept plenty of water in them. But they'll be just fine. We'll go ahead and get these ready to plant. And I'm going to carry down the plants that we've got up here. So all these I'll be carrying down. I won't be able to carry them and film, so I'll just go ahead and carry them down and show you where I put them. Well, actually, we carried them down here. Donald carried a few. I carried most of them. We got them down here. We carried them from the steps there over here, and look at all the babies. Look at all of the bounty. They look beautiful. I didn't feel like I had that many, that I got everything planted that I wanted to get planted, but I got quite a bit. I'm excited about what's here. Now we have to transfer this into these gardens, this garden here, and this garden here. We have to transfer it in what space we have. I'm going to try to keep in consideration the needs, the sun needs of each one of these, so I'll know that they're getting the amount of sun. I've got these all labeled with what they are. Here's some mortgage lifters. These are the ones that I planted. They're looking good. I'm pleased with the way the seeds have done. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know that a blackbird got in most of my seeds and feasted, and I had to replant some things. So it's not my original plan here. I'll be making do with what I have. And so that'll be part of what is going on this year. But we're got to get started. First of all, what I like to establish in the garden are the tomatoes. So we got quite a bit of tomatoes here, and I'm going to have to take a minute and think of where they need to go, and I'll bring you along as I go. Well, in pulling weeds, I noticed my little grandbaby's flower that she chose last year. She chose the Black-Eyed Susan vine, and that's what is growing right here. So she evidently had some seeds that come up off of that vine, so they're coming back this year. She'll be pleasantly surprised. That'll be a good surprise for her in the garden. We have pulled some. We don't see as many weeds as we saw in the past. I don't see as much crabgrass out here. Now here's the neighbor's Boston ivy that's around the garden. It came from their side of the fence. They had planted it there, and now it's over here on our side of the fence, and it's trying to get in my garden. So me and Donald are just going to slowly cut this out and try to keep it back. I mean, there's not much you can do in circumstances like this when you live as close to the neighbors as we live. The neighbors are pretty close, so that's part of what we deal with. Here we have a divider. Donald just put that in. He put that divider in here. So we're going to grow the tomatoes up that. We had the cucumbers up here last year, and they did really well, so I think that's what we're going to do again, is put the cucumbers back here. And then we're going to try to disperse. Now I have way too many tomatoes planted for what I have space to plant. So I'll have to disperse these tomatoes around in different places because there's just so many of them. But that's okay. We'll figure out places for them. We'll even put some in containers if we need to. Now I've got the Cherokee purples laying out here. You know, I am of Cherokee descent, so I love to grow the Cherokee purples. It just excites me. Now we have these laying out here. Donald's planting them pretty deep because they are leggy. They've got long stems. We're going to plant them up to the necks. We can get away with spacing these kind of close together because we're going to grow them up this cattle panel. So that gives us a little more room. I am choosing which tomatoes. I am also going to put a row of tomatoes on the back. So I'm going to have to choose what kind those are going to be. I'm going through what I have here. Let me go over here and check on what I grew. This is Parks Whopper. I may put those on the back so that we can have a good sandwich tomato. We love to eat our tomatoes on sandwiches, but we also love to make sauces and other different things out of them. This is a leader tomato. It's a big tomato, so we'll definitely put some of these in the ground. And I've got a lot of basil right there. I'm going to plant basil around the tomatoes. You can see this hole's rather deep. We're going to plant these up to the neck. Donald got down to the clay soil. So there you go. That's what we have. We don't amend our soil. We have red clay soil, which is okay. You can work with that. Tomatoes are not real picky when it comes to that. They don't like a lot of acid that I have found. So this is perfectly okay. We're going to go ahead and just plant these tomatoes up to the neck. We're going to fill in the soil. He's bringing some compost from the compost pile. And we'll just repeat this over and over until we get these tomatoes planted. And in this soil you can see some of the chips we put in here. They were decomposed for several years before we even added them to the garden. We'll just continue this. He's using post hole diggers to dig these holes because they're straight holes that are straight down. A lot of people plant theirs laying over in a ditch like this. Then you don't have to dig as deep of a hole. Just lay them on their side. All this will develop roots. And then here will be your top that vines out. We don't really have the space to do that. We plant ours straight in because it saves a little bit of space for us. And you will still get roots all the way up the vine in that deep of a hole. But that's how we're planting our tomatoes today. We had to stop and grab a quick lunch. It's just snacky part. There's sourdough bread. Kiddos are out here. I will have to show you the planted garden another day. It's raining. It's raining again. But we got done. We got a lot planted that we wanted to get planted. And this rain is going to be great for everything that just got planted into the garden. So we're not complaining. But I cannot go out there in this rain and show you. It's raining. So that's for another video to show you the planted garden. Thank you for joining me today. And like always, until next time.